All right, good evening. Welcome to the City of Sandwich Committee of the Whole meeting. Tonight is Monday, October 6th, time being 7:01 p.m. May you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Arnett,
Here.
Alderman Chun,
Here.
Alderman Dankel,
Here.
Alderwoman Erickson. Here. Alderwoman Inman.
Here.
Alderman Ketchum is absent, Alderman Kreinbrink is absent, and Alderman Robinson.
Here. All right, we have a quorum. We'll move on with the mayor's report. I'd like to read a proclamation in observance of National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's October 2025. Whereas while considerable progress has been made in the fight against breast cancer, it remains most diagnosed cancer and the second leading cause of death among women in the United States. And whereas each year it is estimated that more than 220,000 women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer, and more than 40,000 will pass away as a result of the disease. And whereas breast cancer is often hereditary, and individuals whose family histories puts them in increased risk for breast cancer should discuss with their doctor or a qualified professional the proper prevention and early diagnosis strategies. And whereas since the early 1990s, the pink ribbon handed out and spread by the Susan G. Komen Foundation has been a symbol of fight against breast cancer. And whereas October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month and an opportunity to increase awareness of the disease and to encourage individuals to have a plan to detect the disease at its early stages. Now therefore, I, Ty Latham, do hereby authorize October 2025 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Sandwich, and I call the observance to the attention of all citizens. All right, I'd like to move on to item B. This is a presentation of Blue Cross Blue Shield. This is our renewal information for the upcoming coverage year. I'd like to welcome Joe Roberts. Joe has been our agent for quite some time. He'd like to give you the update on our premiums.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, sometime 20 years, I've had the privilege of representing the city. For those of you who I do not know, again, my name is Joe Roberts. My firm is FNIC. We have an office here in Sandwich, right on Route 34. And I've lived in the community since 1996, specializing in group health insurance as well as several other lines of business. The city's insurance is on what's called an ACA, Affordable Care Act, regulated plan. And that's due to the size of the number of eligible employees for that plan, which means that the risk is only identifiable to the city on the age of the participants in the pool, as well as the zip code of those individuals that live in the plan. So, for example, we don't have any individual losses that get attributed to the city's plan. It is strictly a community-rated plan, and that's by law under the Affordable Care Act, which was put into place in 2009. The current plan design has two separate options for the employees. There's an HMO option and there's a PPO option. Because of the plan design, Blue Cross Blue Shield is the only carrier located in this community that is eligible for this type of plan setup. I'm usually invited to the city council meeting every 3 or 4 years to kind of give you an update. So this year the pricing has fallen under the Blue Cross Blue Shield noted average, which is 14.6%. They announced that across the board in September of this year. Your HMO policies will be raising 8.8%. Your PPO policies going up 6.5%. So a total of 7.65%, which again is about half of the average of Blue Cross Blue Shield policies for the state of Illinois. So happy to answer any questions for anybody on anything associated with the plan, the pricing, anything in health insurance in general.
Okay, any questions from council? Okay, and when do we need to take action by, Joe?
Typically, Mr. Mayor, we like to do open enrollment after the 1st of November, and so we always have a meeting here for employees, making information available, answering any questions that they may have. So at any time in the next 3 weeks would be helpful for us so that we can get that meeting scheduled with your employee group.
Okay, we have more meeting this month. We'll put on the agenda for consideration by council.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Attorney report, Cassandra Gottschalk.
I don't have anything at this time.
City clerk report, Denise E.
I have several things, excuse me. First off, I distributed the revenue history report for September. I'm also asking the council to start giving some thought about landlord, tenants, and water bills. We discussed that briefly back during the summer. It is becoming a problem. Now's the time to address it. One of the things I have discovered, because we are quarterly, I have to wait a whole another quarter before I can lien a piece of property. That means 6 months. So that's something to consider. I'd also like the council to consider redefining how we register new residents. Right now, they do it over the phone. Problem is, people will say they own the property and they don't, and we don't find out until they skip. And then we try to find them. I don't have answers. I am doing some research. City attorney is also helping me, and we'd like to bring some ideas and compound it with your ideas and see what we can come up with by next spring. The last thing I'd like to discuss, and I'm going to go in mother mode. I want everyone's attention. FOIAs. We got hit really hard in the last 8 days. 14 FOIAs, and I am the sole FOIA officer. The FOIAs are varied. It is a means for transparency, but sometimes the FOIA requests extend out to the alderman. You must respond back to me, even if you don't know what I'm talking about, even if you have no knowledge. I'm not a mind reader. And what's happened, we had some FOIAs due today. As I sit here, I am supposed to be on vacation. I'm supposed to be in training in Bloomington. I am here because the FOIAs weren't complete because I was missing information. So please do your due diligence. I know as elected officials, you are not required to do any FOIA training, but it might be some good practice so you realize what I go through and what the other departments go through. I want to share a recent one that I had a FOIA with the co-op of the police department. Between Wendy and I, it was 20 hours and 995 documents. Think about that. Think how that ties us up. That's just 2 people. When you have other departments, when you have the street department, you have the accounting department, you have Kurt. A lot of people I have to get information from. So again, if you get an email from me, please respond to it. Even if you don't understand, tell me, I don't understand what this is about. But if I have a FOIA, that I have to reach out to aldermen, expect and appreciate a response back. Lecture over.
I think it's correct. Thank you. All right, Treasury Report, Sandra Kohler.
I'm reserving till next meeting, thank you.
Okay, City Administrator Report, Jeff Penman.
Good evening. Just wanted to let everybody know I was able to attend the IML conference a week and a half ago. Was able to attend several conference sessions with regard to the EPA, municipal tune-up. There was one on PFAS, which is some testing we have to do for water and things along those lines, and then also some funding ones. So I thought it was a worthwhile time. I know a couple of the other aldermen attended as well, so I hope it was as productive for them as it was for me. Also wanted to mention I had sent out something from the DeKalb County Stormwater group. There's a training, there's 4 lunch trainings that are coming up. It's free. There's still a couple slots if anybody's interested. Don Danko signed up. He's going to go, and I'm going to go as well. So if anybody's interested in that, please let me know. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Okay, questions for our City Administrator? Okay. City Department Reports, Tony Eberly.
I have a couple items. Last Tuesday, we partnered with the fire department on a anhydrous ammonia hazmat test training. We also worked with Chief Sunny's team and others to support the homecoming parade on Friday. Yesterday, we participated at the Moose's Trunk or Treat event. I recently became certified to conduct the traffic incident management training, so looking to partner with other teams and areas to do that training. And then a reminder that tomorrow is the outdoor warning siren test at 10 a.m. That's all that I have.
All right, questions for Mr. Ebley? All right, please report, Chief Sunny.
All right, just to start off with the events attended over the last several weeks, a couple football games. We attended the Taste of Sandwich, conducted our last walk and talk of the season, bring that back next year. Attended National Coffee with a Cop Day, was on the 1st. Coffee Before Business, we were heavily involved in all the homecoming events, including the parade. We also participated in the Trunk or Treat event. That was the first one of this month. There's a couple more that are out there. And then we also participated in the Movie in the Park that happened this past Saturday with the Park District. I also just want to bring up that this is Domestic Violence Month, so we'll be promoting some stuff on our Facebook page pertaining to domestic violence. We have a great working relationship with Safe Passage. They have some events that they're doing this upcoming month. Just some department updates. Officer Santoya, he has begun his field training process. He's with Officer Favela. They're both on, I thought they were on the street today, but I seen he was out there. So he's with him. He's going to be there through mid-October, and then mid-October, he's going to transfer to Officer French, and then he will complete his training on day shift. He will remain on day shift until January, where he'll then go to whatever shift he is assigned to based on their picks. Computers, we're still in the process of having our computers upgraded, installed. The vast majority of them are up and running. We just got some lingering ones out there, and then we're still working out some kinks. There's some, with the fact that we're partnering with DeKalb County with their IT stuff and some of our stuff transferring over to get that operational. We've developed some little hiccups in the road for that, but we're still working through that. The parade, I thank Tony and his group for that. Thank everybody else that took part in that. Overall, the parade went well. The new route, haven't got any really negative feedback on it. Talked to the school superintendent today. He was actually very happy with the fact that the parade came down Wells Street to go in front of the school. That was actually one of the more crowded areas of it. Even out here on Railroad Street between Cherry and Wells, it was pretty well attended there. The parade we had no cars this year that got into the parade route as opposed to last year where there was 5 or 6 vehicles that got into the parade route, so a lot safer this year. We had a lot more staffing out there this year too. I think the crossing guards for coming out and helping us, and then Mary and Wendy also came out and helped us. Fire department, appreciate them helping us out with that too. It took a lot to get that done. I've talked about the generator. My goal for this week is to get the proposal out to Jeff and the mayor, and then have the city attorney look at the proposal, try to get that out so we can look to replace the generator that's in the budget for this year. Squad car update. The squad cars are actually, the dealership has them on site. Right now, we're just waiting for the parts, for the interior parts to be ordered. That's about a 6 to 8 week process, so hopefully we'll have the squad cars November, December, maybe linger January. Their goal is to get them to us all at the same time. And when they bring them up here, there is some work that needs to be done up here. The camera systems have to come out of the cars, the radar systems have to come in the cars, the docking stations have to come out of the cars and be put into the new cars. Those are the things that we're swapping out on the cars. The social worker grant, since I've missed a couple meetings on that, just want to give everybody an update on the social work grant. We were approved for the $25,000 to have a social worker assigned to the police department. That grant period is a 1-year grant period. As we get closer to that ending, we'll have to have further conversations on how we're going to fund that program. I met with Northwestern, who oversees the grant project, last week. With the amount of money that we have towards the grant, that's going to give us anywhere between 10 to 12 hours of a dedicated social worker to the city of Sandwich. Briefly talking to them, we're looking to potentially do that on Mondays and Wednesdays, where they'll be physically here in Sandwich. And we're hoping to have everything. They have some stuff on their end that logistically that they need to get done. We're hoping to actually start that program on November 4th. So more to come on that. They're actually looking to potentially come out here in a month in December and do a little presentation for the council, just kind of on the programs of what they've seen in other areas. We are the only, we'll be the second, we're kind of the pilot program, but we're the second program in DeKalb County that will have a dedicated social worker to our police department. DeKalb City has a dedicated social worker to their police department, in which the city of DeKalb picks up that entire tab. Now, there are other social workers that are assigned throughout the county, but they are also on a grant that is overseen through Northwestern. Ours too is a grant that was given to us by the DeKalb County Mental Health Board, but again, our grant gives us a social worker in our town, which I think is a huge win for us. Just want to talk about adjudication process. We're looking to potentially move adjudication from this building to the police department because the vast majority of stuff is dealt with is police matter there. It takes away from us having to transport stuff back and forth from there, gives us access to stuff immediately in the police department that may need to be there. We're looking to potentially start that in January on that, more to come on that. I also just want to bring up Mary Flowers. She's going to be celebrating her 28th year of service, completing 28 years of service with the City of Sandwich this month. I think that's a milestone.
Wendy, you said Mary.
I'm sorry, Wendy, my bad. It says, Wendy Flowers will be celebrating her 28 years of service. Community events, just want to remind everybody, our Halloween event is on the 22nd at the police department from 4:30 to 6:30. Talking about some grants and other grants that we're working on. Firehouse Subs has a grant that they release. Actually, they release it on the 9th. We're going to look to be applying for a grant there. I got to look at the specifications of the grant, but one of the ideas that we're exploring is to potentially purchase some additional equipment for our weight room. We've got some equipment in, appreciate the equipment that we got, but there's some other equipment that we might be able to get there. And then we were awarded the traffic safety grant again that we did last year. We were awarded that again this year. Part of that grant though this year is we're actually going to get a piece of equipment. We're going to get a LiDAR unit, which is very similar to a radar unit, except LiDAR, everybody here is more like Top Gun missile lock. That laser shoots right on the car, and that's the vehicle that you can 100% positively say that is the vehicle that I see going, however fast it's going, and it actually gives you the distance that you are from that vehicle too. So we'll be getting that. Just some Main Street activity stats. Since that project has started, we actually have had 7 crashes in that particular area. We've had 4 motorist assist. We've had 7 disorderly conduct incidents, so people not happy about what's going on out there, we've been called. We've had 5 driving complaints. We've conducted 237 extra patrols in that particular area. We've had to deal with 7 illegally parked vehicles in that area during that time, and we've conducted 147 traffic stops in that particular area during the start of that project, which started second week of July, first week of July, somewhere in there. Just some additional notes. Officer Bright had conducted some sex offender verifications. It's one of the things that we do, and we only have 1 offender who is non-compliant, and that person no longer lives in our town, so we are currently seeking to get a warrant for that particular person's arrest based on the way the law reads. Since he last registered in our town, we are the reporting agency, so we have to get that paperwork. He's going to be working on that in the next couple days. And then just so everybody knows, we currently have 9 total offenders that currently reside in the city of Sandwich. If you look on the state website, there's more, but some of those individuals do not reside actually within our city limits. They're in unincorporated parts of the town. And then as usual, just want to remind everybody of our website and our dashboard. Great information on there, always adding more information on there. And then I'd just like to end with the fact that I thank the officers for the work that they're doing day in and day out.
All right, questions for Chief Sunny? Okay, engineer report, Kurt Detman.
All right, first, Safe Routes to School grant. I've been working with Mayor Latham, getting all the different documentation on the city side. Tonight, the resolution we brought forth, which will just generally talks about the grant itself, and we'll be applying for that. It's due next Wednesday. Working with the mayor to finish up all the documentation the city's going to provide us, and we'll complete all the rest of the documentation, applications, stuff like that next week, and get that submitted. Main Street, obviously lots of things going on out there. Working on lead service line repairs. We've got 2 contractors out there working. We've got, of the 19 remaining addresses that are left on the list, one's an unknown of where we're gonna go right now because we don't have anything signed yet, but the other 18, we're finalizing some of those, and they're divvied up 9 and 9 to the 2 different contractors, working on trying to get as many trenched ones as possible. Currently, there are 4 with another 5th possible. So working on all those, trying to get those things done, and then going to be coordinating with street superintendent to kind of walk some of the sidewalk issues out there. Walked tonight a little bit with Alderman Arnett and saw definitely some areas that need to be replaced, some areas that just didn't get caught that should be included. So kind of get through some of those things and get those things fixed as best we can. So everything is done the right way and the first time. Yeah, and so Main Street wise, they're pushing hard, and hopefully we can keep on track here, even with punch list items and things like that, so we can finish this project up before winter is the goal. That's all I got.
Okay, questions for our engineer?
I just have a question. Is this the first time that you've gone and looked at some of those items on Main Street?
The sidewalk is pretty new.
Okay,
The sidewalk is pretty new.
right. I was just wondering if this was the first time.
Seeing some of the sidewalk, yes.
Okay, that's all. Thank
Because
you.
it's like literally just been poured. I did see some of it last week when it was just fresh and I couldn't even walk on it. But yeah, so that was, a week ago, this stuff was poured.
Okay, other questions? All right, economic development, Lexi.
Good evening. You want me to talk about the taste?
Everything, yep.
Okay. Before we get started, Mayor, I forgot to tell you that earlier, Andre Van Drew from the DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation is here tonight. When you get to the enterprise zone expansion, she can explain why that's being done.
Okay.
All right, wrap up the taste. And Angie gave me a report today. She tracks all the numbers. So this year there was 315 tickets sold. Last year was 365, and the year before that was 258 for comparison. Food vendors this year was 26. Prior year was 20 and 25 and 23. And we had 5 contestants for the sandwich contest. So on revenue side, there was $3,150 in ticket sales, $500 in registration fees, $2,600 in sponsorships, and Walmart donated a gift card for $100. I guess we received the reimbursement from the BEC Foundation, thank you, for $2,826. So our revenues this year were $9,076. On the expense side, the tent rental was $5,018. The porta potties were $1,035. Our food permit with the county was $200. The hot dogs and supplies are estimated at $400 just based on last year. We haven't seen the bill yet. And so that's a total expense of $6,653. So we stayed on the profit side at $2,423. Just in summer, we had 2 sponsors at the $500 level, 5 sponsors at the $300 level, and 1 at the $150 level. And then we had 5 sponsors that were in-kind sponsors that provided us items and didn't charge us or lowered their charge. So we thank them also. On the economic development report, we can talk about, I'll come back and talk about the street light program later. Just a summary to date, 2025, as far as the end of September 30th. We have approximately $21 million in construction investment in just the 14 major projects. From January 1st to October 6th, there's been a total of 285 permits issued, 71 for non-residents and 214 for residential. And of course, revenues from the permits fees have been increased. collecting all the aspects that were required under our ordinances. This cloud permit software saves us a lot of time. It collects all the fees accurately and shortens the whole permitting process. If anyone doesn't know how it works, the contractors fill it all out online. And if they don't supply everything that we require, it doesn't allow them to exit being completed. And then the final completion piece is payment. So once the payment comes in, then Ian looks over things and then issues the permit. Going forward with Fair Winds moving along pretty well. Going forward, it probably should add about $65,000 in annual tax and the real estate tax revenues. And then when everything's running, about $10,000 in utility fees going forward. During the construction phase, due to the developer agreement created, there should be approximately $970,000 in fees between Ryan Homes, the developer, and us. And there's 3 projects being planned right now. May not get started this year due to logistics into next year, so we'll see what those 3 look like this year. Already for 2026, there's 3 companies in the city I've met with. They're building, expanding, replacing buildings in 2026. And that result could add, just those 3 alone could add over $30 million in investment next year. And then I keep getting questions about as of our located 126 homes that were not listed as sandwich homes with ComEd. So the MUT, municipal utility tax, was not being collected. All 126 have been appealed to the Illinois Department of Revenue, and we're waiting on their response. They also located about 145 homes not listed in sandwich with Comcast. So they weren't paying their franchise fee. And those homes are also under appeal with Illinois Department of Revenue. We should be granted those homes, and if we are, you can only go back a year in the state system. So we can go back for a year for the revenue, and then going forward, it's ours going forward. It should roughly increase revenue in those areas approximately $25,000 annually. But it's good to see those cleaned up, and now we know what's what. Going forward, too, we can also, we'll be checking as homes, for instance, as homes get built, we'll make sure that those addresses are listed in Department of Revenue, and we'll check them, make sure they're placed there. And like, for instance, when Dollar Tree finishes, when they open, about 3 months after they open, we'll check on them, just make sure they're being recorded to the right place so we don't lose anything going forward. We'll do that with all commercial endeavors. Any questions?
Do you want to cover the airport first and then the ComEd Light program? Then I'll take questions. We have to revisit the airport ordinance, right? Because
well, we just need the language change as we agreed a couple months ago. The whole key is going from 15 to 20 feet, and that allows that lot. It's about 2.5 acres directly to the east across the street to be, it gives it a little more flexibility in being developed, a little more higher standards. We get buildings a little higher, get them a little higher, closer to Gletty Road. Actually, from the middle of that parcel going back, it becomes a non-entity. But because of the designation by the state, it should be that. It's been that actually since 1979. We just never changed the ordinance.
I was thinking we had to go back and set a zone around that.
We
Is that
do.
right?
That's the most important part, is we need to go back and determine where we need to do a special use, because that was something that was kind of, we tossed in at the end when we approved the ordinance, and we haven't really been able to finalize the ordinance without any kind of a specification. Are we talking about so many feet from the end of the runway? Are we talking about in the landing zone? What are we looking at? And that's really what we need to discuss more than anything is, I think everything else was pretty clear, but when will we require a special use permit? Because that's the question that's not answered in the ordinance.
So the ordinance on there is a refresher of what we passed. We just need to go back and complete what Jeff said so we're aware where that's at. So when people call us or Don's trying to do economic development, they're clear of the zone that's around there.
Right. And that only affects one parcel, that glide path change. The owner has called asking for this language because they think he's ready to put it up with a broker. and he'd like to have this language in the broker's hands, so it was clear to any potential buyer.
And the comment?
And a comment efficiency program, Zentech was assigned to us to look at our streetlights. They did a survey. The first priority is 59 streetlights were found to still have the old style high-pressure sodium fixtures on them. And it creates a problem because after this year, they're not supposed to be sold anymore. And they also have mercury in them, which they're moving to being a hazardous material. We have the opportunity to get them out now without our people getting involved in anything like that. There's 39 fixtures, currently have 150 wattage, probably more in the residential areas. They'll go to an LED fixture of 60 watt. And then there's 16 fixtures at 250 watts currently. And the replacement fixtures will have 120 watts under an LED. And then there's 5 fixtures that currently have a 400 watt fixture. Replaced LED fixtures will have 500 watts.
That's a total of 59, is that correct?
59 total.
Okay, and then I think our notes say that we're going to get a Commonwealth Edison contribution, and the estimated ending cost for us is $6,620. Is that correct?
Correct. Originally, they were at 50-50 with us, and I called. Contractor gave me the name of the person he's dealing with. I called and explained to him some of the financial stresses we're under, because this is important to get these lights out of here before they become under a hazardous guide next year. And they went from $1,873 to $5,373, bringing our costs down to 31% of the entire project. So our cost will be $6,620. So the whole $21,360. This incentive ends November 15th, which means it has to be done. The contractor's good with that. He said he'll be here 2 days, maybe 3. He spoke with Nick on some of the poles that have some challenges, so they're aware they're coming in. And this contractor will honor the warranty for 7 years, so going forward, so all Nick has to do is call him when there's a problem.
Okay, questions for Don?
At some point, could we get a paper copy or an electronic copy of your Taste of Sandwich report and your economic development report from tonight? Would that also include the information from those companies about the residences that weren't with ComEd or with Comcast?
I don't have those addresses. If you're asking for the addresses, I don't have those as far as I just get through.
Can we get them from them or no? Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, anyone else have questions? Okay, thank you, Don. All right, moving on to our unfinished business. So one of the items that we'll have for discussion approval at our regular meeting following this will be the Resolution 2515, which is the Safe Routes. This is our grant application. This will authorize myself to sign that as to move forward with those transportation documents. We have received 86 surveys from the school. I've conducted at least 2 interviews. I have 3 more to go that I can get from administration. And then we'll need letters of support still to come in from the school and township, anyone else, library, park district, to give us support for those. Even council members, you can provide a letter of support. And hopefully we'll have that wrapped up by this week and get it to EEI. All right, moving on to new business, discussion of proposed ordinance 2514. This is the DeKalb County Enterprise Zone. So if our guest and Don would like to come up and talk to us a little bit about the purpose of that. We're one of several communities that belong to the Enterprise Zone. The terrible names. You said it so fast I didn't catch it, so I'll let you reintroduce yourself.
It's fine. I didn't really come with a big presentation prepared, so I'm essentially here to answer questions. But my name is Andrea Vandrew. I'm the Economic Development Specialist at it doesn't roll off the tongue well, the DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation, DCEDC. And some of y'all might be aware, this is every time we have, sorry.
Is the green button on?
There you go. Cool. Sorry, I used to teach and I project really loudly. So this would be, so we are in Sandwich is one of those municipalities, hence why I'm here, that is part of the DeKalb County Enterprise Zone. And so anytime that we want to add additional square mileage, additional acreage into it, we have to go through all of our designated governing bodies, which Sandwich is a part of, to get approval to do so, because all of us, including the county government, have signed on to this agreement. So what we are wanting to do is, the city of DeKalb has come to us, and there should be maps included in your
There are.
packet, I believe, right? So those 7 parcels, the city has said, hey, we're getting increased interest in this area. We want to be ready to have the enterprise zone here and available for whatever project may come into this section, because it is not a fast process. It takes several months to do this. So if we get wind of a municipality that has significant interest in an area, we like to get that process going. So this would be, we're just proposing to get the municipality's permission to go ahead and give us the okay to add the square mileage in. This would bring us, so by statute, we have 20 square miles that the state allows us. Bringing on this additional, I think it's just a smidge over, like 4 tenths of a square mile into the zone. So that would bring us up to just a little over 15 and a half square miles that we have used. So we still have plenty of room where, you know, other municipalities would have land that they would want to bring in. So we are okay with that. We are mindful that we are getting closer, but we are okay at the moment. If anybody has questions that I can answer, I am happy to do so. Otherwise, that's kind of the gist of.
So we've done this
Fine, yeah.
several times.
Yep.
This is an amendatory process. We're a part of the Kelp, Cortland, Genoa, Sycamore, Waterman, and of course Sandwich that have to all agree to this as we change any boundaries of the enterprise zone. So this is just a formal process we've done before. I believe this was Girther Road, I think is what I looked at, that southwest side of.
Yeah, it's that
DeKalb.
southeast corner of that Peace Road interchange, so.
So that's all we're doing is just saying we approve of the total enterprise zone moving forward with this amendment. So, questions? Okay. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Andrew. All right, item B is the hiring of a certified operator in charge of our water department. We're still looking for, to hire someone. And in the meantime, our current contract, as you recall, was a limited contract. It has expired with the current operator. We found a suitable replacement, and so that's before council to approve. We will need to approve that tonight to make the city in good standing with the Illinois EPA. Are there any questions on the hiring of the operator? Okay. Item C is setting Resolution 2514, that is our Halloween 2025 trick-or-treat hours. We have to establish that through a process. Item D is the 2513, that is the joint fund agreement for Pratt Road. I do want to talk a little bit about why the cost went up. I spent some time talking with our engineer. So originally, the application went forward in 2019, 2020. The city was awarded $943,000 of about a 1.27 construction project. The funds were estimated at that time, so if you think about it, we're almost looking 6 years later. Much of this cost is moving from 1.2 million roughly to 1.7 million. Was a difference of engineering opinion from when it was first engineered. I believe HLR and EER in agreement that we needed some different approach slabs to make the bridge more viable and long-term and surviving. And that did provide an increase to the cost. And also there was a 20 to 25% inflation since that time that's now being placed on the construction estimation. Ideally, we'd bid this in November as a letting process. In January, February, we'd hope to start construction. And the goal is to have it done by the end of August of 2026. Now, that change comes out of the city's costs. And there's nothing else that we can go at for federal funds. They've already been applied to this project. So that is a very costly bridge that has little benefit to us. But for whatever reason, years ago, the city took ownership of that, and it is our bridge. So that is the details of that. So I would need you to accept that so we can move forward with that as a joint agreement I have to send back to IDOT and sign if you approve the resolution. Any questions on Pratt Road Bridge?
Where are we coming up with an extra money from?
Well, that's a great idea. And conversation. So it is very difficult. I do think we need to look at taking it out over 2 years. So we can set aside some funds this year, and then we can figure out how to pay for the rest of it next year. Our experience is with the IDOT projects, they start and we pay those as the program reaches certain points. It is a good question. I think we may have to come back and revisit our budget. We have to improve the bridge. The bridge is a failed bridge, and there's no other way around it other than finding the funds somewhere. So I think our fund balance has been really good, that we've been able to have a lot of sales tax come in, a lot of 1%. As you read the revenue report, we have a lot of growth that's taken place in the community, and we have to figure out how to offset that over 2 years. It's unfortunate, but we just have to figure out how to do it. So that may be, when we get to the 6-month point, that may be the budget committee coming back to meet to see where we're at financially and making some plans moving forward. And we may have to set aside some expenditures and move those out the next year to decide what we want to diminish and not complete. But we do need to move forward this because we're on a IDOT schedule to get the bridge replaced. It's just unfortunate. Other questions? And thank you for that question. That's the same question I had when I talked to the engineers of how do we pay for this? Okay, proposal for the resolution 2514. This is adopting the Illinois Municipal League Civility Pledge. So that's for council to approve at the next meeting. Item F is discussion clarification of the ordinance amending the airport. So this is really just for discussion. We have to come back, as Jeff mentioned, with setting the zoning for that and the special use process. So that will likely come back at the next meeting. And lastly, as you heard, we do need to replace our high-pressure sodium street lights, and there's a cost-saving opportunity that we need to take advantage of that Don Lexi has been able to pursue through economic development, and that'll be there for your approval with the amount stated. Questions on any of those two items? Okay, Alderperson's reports. Alderman Arnett.
I'd like to talk about not only the curb in front of Gonzo's, which Kurt and I walked, but also bring light to some of the work being done on Main Street. I walked Main Street with Janelle, I've walked it with Don, I've walked it with Fred. I have a letter here from Fred agreeing that he doesn't feel that the level of scrutiny for our sidewalks is being held to what it should be, as far as spalling sidewalks, half-inch trip hazards, like it was done on Lafayette. We have several areas that are pretty terrible on Main Street that are not being addressed. Kurt and I walked some of those. One right in front of the open door, and this is HLR's response. Is the existing driveway and sidewalk opted to be left? That's our engineer, and that's a building full of handicapped people. We walked that, and that approach is pretty torn up, pretty broken up, but their answer is they opted to leave it. I'd like to know why. I'd like to know why, as a city of Sandwich.
Did you say open door?
Open door.
Okay, so we're not Main, we're
Down
talking
Main Street.
Pavilion.
A residence.
Oh, a residence.
They've got several in town, one's on Main Street.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we're talking about the same.
The thing is, how this list became is Janelle and I had a meeting with Kurt and Nick and Jeff about walking and figuring out what we can additionally open trench. And as Janelle and I were walking, I told Jeff, I said I wasn't gonna walk the street with blinders. So as we saw things, we called things out. We wrote a list. And it's pretty crazy. I mean, when Kurt and I walked it, I mean, there's clear and obvious trip hazards. There's clear and obvious places to where the concrete is being put in, it's being rushed. Areas of sidewalk are curving up on the edges that are gonna create hazards when we have freezing rains. Water can't get off them. It will turn into a slip and slide of ice. The city of Sandwich, I would rather see we start being proactive, because it seems all we are is reactive. There are Tuesday meetings, and this, I had a long conversation with Jeff. When I was a construction superintendent, I had meetings on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Tuesdays was with owner and architect. Monday I would walk the building all afternoon, compile a list, go over things. As a city, I don't know why we don't have our engineer, Kurt. You have a Tuesday meeting, go out and take a walk an hour before the meeting. If you see something, say something. That's when you have a chance to go to HLR and say, hey, I'm seeing things I don't like. You guys are doing work that is substandard. Let's slow it down, because I'm tired of hearing punch list. None of us want to see a great all going down a brand-new street, ripping out brand-new sidewalk when we could have done something ahead of time. And it's time we do it. The curb at Gonzo's, at one point it's 10.5 inches tall. And what it's going to do is it's a great marketing tool for the body shops in the area, because I can see a lot of people wiping out the front of their cars on that thing. Not only that, but the maximum allowed riser for a set of stairs is 7 3/4. So now we have people that are gonna be going up 10.5 inches. Kurt and I went over a lot of ideas as far as things that we could do. Possibly bollards, give people a handhold to grab, get up. Some parking bumpers to stop people from running into the curb. Kurt had talked about possibly doing an ADA parking spot in the end, to where that's your ADA spot closest to the ADA depression on the end of the curb. So once again, something I would rather see we are proactive about, because once again, right now, we are reactive. We just need to turn this around. When we have projects coming in town, we need to get ahead of them, because it seems like we're always behind them. And I totally don't understand why we're doing it that way. We just talked about safe routes to school. Kids walking up and down that all the time. There's several areas on that sidewalk right now that are going to be left that are not safe. In front of the nursing home, there's tons of spalled pitting concrete. They replaced it on this side, they replaced it on this side, and they left this side. Just like the church. There's trip hazards by the church. They replaced it here and here, but they left this. We have a contractor that's jumping around all over, leaving 2 squares here when it could just be done. I don't know why we're replacing carriage walks. We could be ripping carriage walks out, filling them with dirt, saving that square footage, and applying it to our actual city sidewalk. We're throwing money away. It's got to stop. And if any other alderpersons would like to have a comment about that, I mean, I'd like to have a discussion on this.
Well, who called the shots of what's being replaced? Who had the authority to say, well, that's good enough, we'll keep that one, and then
Well,
we'll
the letter I
replace
have
that?
is HLR, especially in front of the open door, we're gonna leave broken concrete. They clearly state in their response, it was opted to be left. In front of the church and the nursing home, it states, can't rush construction, but they replaced it on this side, they replaced it on this side. They could have done it all at once. There was no rush there. Let's just do it once and do it right the first time.
I mean, I just want to say that it was only our intention to bring awareness to what was happening, not to cause any issues. But, you know, take Gonzo's curb. What are you getting at Gonzo's? Pizza. Try carrying some pizzas, and it's already dark out, and you think you're just going down a normal curb 6 inches, but it's 10.5. You know, you're gonna face plant with your pizzas, you know? I mean, it's just not gonna be a good situation there, because putting that handle thing to get, you know, up, how are we gonna get the people down 10.5 inches? I tried it, and it was difficult, you know, and I wasn't carrying anything. But I just think we need to have the same, we just need to care as much as if it was our own house. You know, if somebody was doing this at your house, you'd be checking it from beginning, middle, and end, you know? And the minute that first pour happens, you know, and it starts to cure, you need to be checking it, you know? And because if you don't bring attention to shoddy workmanship at the beginning, it's just gonna keep happening. And then they bring up the punch list, so you're just gonna tear out all this stuff, you know? You need to correct the problem when it starts, or else you have to hold people to the same level that you would want done at your own house. And, well, I can't even say that, your grandparents' house or something, because I can't say that everybody wants something nice at their house. So, but this is Main Street, and everybody sees Main Street, everybody walks Main Street at some point in their life, and we just need to make sure it's the best.
I asked HLR if they would come to the next meeting. I'm waiting to hear back if they'll be here.
Well, I would urge everybody to walk it. there's one area by Federated Church, I pointed out to Kurt. There's no longer a tree there, but we're still leaving the whoop-de-doo in the sidewalk. Why we wouldn't straighten that out, lower it down, and do things right? Walk it, make comments, send your email in, be proactive.
Well, it's not even that, it's the garbage. You know, there's still garbage. You know, I was out the other day and there's still garbage, not as much as there was that I picked up, but there's still garbage. You know, and it's not that, it's, you know, a homeowner asked us, you know, they were gonna pour the sidewalk, but the bee box is still in the middle of the sidewalk. You know, they didn't pour it because they still have to have our lead line done, but, so do you just leave it in the middle of the sidewalk, or do you change it beforehand, before you pour the sidewalk? You know, it's, the homeowners are taking notice, you know, it's not just us, the homeowners are, and I just encouraged them all, I said, just please write an email, because I don't know that what I say matters sometimes, so.
Down by Boulevard or Crowfoot, we've got one brand-new fire hydrant that's in. The fire hydrant connection's about 8 inches above the ground, 10, 8 most. The flange on the fire hydrant needs to be inspected on a regular basis and whatnot, and we've got several that are going to be buried. So if the risers aren't the correct height, why aren't they being done right the first time? I don't understand it. With a project this expensive, with that many eyes staring at it, we need to do it right.
I agree.
Okay, other comments? I'll let you know as soon as I hear back from HLR about the request to be here. Okay. Alderman Chan?
I don't have anything right now.
Okay, Alderman Danko?
On October 2nd, we had a meeting here with Nick and Brad, Jeff, myself, Chris, Stephen, and we were reviewing the water master plan. And it was a 30-year plan that we're looking at getting updated. And by the end of November, he's going to have updated costs. One being what we have to do for wells 1 and 2 on Railroad Street. And actually, did we find out any exploratory about that leak underneath the building yet?
Actually, tomorrow morning, they're gonna try and dig up the floor and see if we can get it stopped.
Okay, all right. Anyway, and then the Clark Street Water Treatment Plant modifications. This quote, or this was put together 2 years ago, so I asked for that to be updated. We had a good discussion about a booster pump and pressure relief valve, but a question came up about an altitude sensor so we can fill the other water tower fuller. It's only getting half full, so we're not getting as much pressure. That might help out. That's under review. And then we're looking at the cost of replacing, and what it would cost to replace the 2 and 4 inch old water mains with newer 8 inch. These are all under study. I'm trying to get updated pricing, and we can go from there. On a side note regarding water, we're having a meeting, Brad and I and a company representative are having a meeting on the 8th, this Wednesday, regarding looking at more efficient water meters. A little fact finding and a little education was, when we have a water meter that fails, it never speeds up. It just slowly over time goes slower. Even with the same amount of water is going through, we're not getting the readings. So we're going to look in to get a cost on a better water meter. And this is all fact finding at this point. And the one thing I want to focus on is with this, if we can go to a monthly billing, which would help this landlord issue. So this is all fact finding. Next meeting, I hope I'll have more stuff to report. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dan. I think it is overdue. It has been a couple years since we did that water study, so I
Yeah.
agree. Updating the prices is only going to be better for us with our capital plans. Alderwoman Erickson?
Okay, I put in the packet, template for you guys to look over about us obtaining, outside legal counsel, and hiring a court reporter if needed. I wasn't, okay. So I'll just reiterate what I just said, is that I sent out a template for everybody to look at for our packets. Just obtaining outside legal counsel for us as a council, and for hiring a court reporter if needed. And do you guys have any questions on any of that you read?
I don't have questions, just comment. Personally, I don't think outside counsel is a horrible thing. Really due to the fact there was a memo that went out this week. You all received it. And in that memo, it essentially slandered Janelle and I. And I already let it be known that I'm probably heading to an attorney with that anyways. Because at no point did I request cost from anyone. But yet in that letter, it clearly stated I did. So I think if we had outside counsel, it would help protect us as a council.
You have a right to. It's section 2, 147. I have a right to my own counsel, you have a right to your own counsel.
But
It'll just
as
cost more
council,
money,
to be
but-
honest with you, it kind of feels that's
the-
the way it is right now, is you have counsel and we don't have anything.
That's the thing, is that she doesn't work for you, she works for us. But she keeps telling us that she works for you, and she does not. She works for the city. So that's why
There's
we need some outside
Two
counsel.
things. I do work for the city, but pursuant to the Illinois Municipal Code and your code, I do take direction from the mayor unless the council makes specific motions or there's specific ordinances to follow. So if that is something that wanted to be changed, that could be done. But, you know, I serve to protect the city and to advise the city on the best course of action for the city as a whole. But pursuant to your code, I do take direction from the mayor.
But you've also said in numerous meetings that you work for him when we've asked you.
I take
She doesn't work for me.
I'm not,
That was the question that we asked, is who do you work for? And you were like, I work for the mayor.
I don't think I
But-
said that. I suppose I could have said that maybe
it's okay.
nonchalantly, but
We're gonna
I
try and
do
get outside
take
counsel,
direction from the mayor.
And the court reporter, can you explain how that would work?
That's just in case we needed it, for something with this other outside counsel, in case they needed their own court reporter or something like that, that we wouldn't have to come back to council and ask for it. I'm just putting it lump sum altogether. Not saying we're gonna need it, but I don't want us to have to come back in a special session or anything like that if we have to have it for them.
Does that replace the clerk?
No.
Okay. All right.
Any other
just-
questions?
Do you have any other comments under your
No.
report? Alderwoman Inman?
I think Adam covered most of everything that I was going to talk about. I was going to say too, I don't know if anybody ever paid attention to Channel 5, that we've been on a commercial quite often, so.
Poochie and Pang?
Poochie and Pang. So I just thought that was kind of
I
neat.
think you and I were the two that caught that, so.
I know, it's like constantly. I have it recorded on my phone just so I could show people, but yes, I just thought it was kind of neat that, you know, our sign was in a commercial and it still keeps playing all the time, so,
And they had lunch in the ditch.
yes.
So I believe our economic developers reached out to them, offer them an opportunity to,
Because whole
Work with
point
us.
is they're reviewing sandwiches this year, so yeah, it was kind of neat, so.
too
Just thought
bad,
I'd-
a month earlier and they could have been judges.
Right, so,
All right,
That's
anything else? All right, Alderman Ketchum, Cranbrinker absent, Alderman Robinson,
Couple of things.
is your mic on?
Yeah, it is. First thing I was gonna mention was, I put on there hire city administrator. One of the conferences, or one of the sessions at the Illinois Municipal League was a session on hiring a city administrator, pros and cons, and what it's supposed to do for the city and how it can help and assist the city. I obviously was always in support of that, brought it up numerous times over the last 20 years or so, and we finally did get a city administrator. Jeff obviously has made it known to us that he'll be leaving about 9 months from now, so the fact of the matter is, we as a council need to decide what we want to do for the future. So there's lots of options. You know, we can, again, advertise or do some sort of a search, or maybe look into hiring a firm to do a search for us as far as what our wants and needs are for a city administrator, to make sure that we get the best fit possible. There were groups that talk at the conference how they are available to do it, and information such as, you know, we'd be able to see all of the applicants, but they would do all of the legwork and basically prioritize the applicants for us. They would give them all to us, but they would prioritize them for us, so we would have, you know, choice in the matter, and also so we could see everybody, and it's not just, you know, the select few, although they would rank them for that. There's also with outside firms, you know, kind of like a money-back guarantee type thing where, you know, for some reason it didn't work, and within a year the, you know, administrator decides to leave, or we ask them to leave, that, you know, they would, again, redo the information for us to get a fit. So these are just ideas that I wanted to bring up because, again, we're all aware of this. We have all been aware of this for 5, 6, 7 months. So we need to make sure that we keep considering this. I know talking to individual council members, there's also been talk as far as not getting a city administrator and looking at hiring a city engineer / director of public works, somebody to bring together the 3 divisions of our public works here in Sandwich, the water, wastewater, and streets. An engineer that's here every day and can answer questions to staff, to citizens, et cetera. So I know I'm throwing out a lot of information, but it's just things that we need to be considering and talking about, and I want to make sure that people are thinking about it. You know, there's lots of information out there, and if you haven't already looked up information on a city administrator and what it could do for the city, you know, city county government management associations, there's groups out there, and like I said, it's good reading, but you get a city administrator and it should be saving us money on things like engineering. It should be saving us money on legal. It should be saving us money on a lot of different things. And unfortunately, we don't have that, and it's nothing personal with our city administrator, but we just don't have the experience in the municipal city management realm to be taking advantage of these things where we should be saving money with engineering, with legal and things like this. We're probably spending more money on legal and engineering in the last couple of years. So again, we just need to figure out what we want to do, get a game plan, and figure out what is going to be most beneficial for the city of Sandwich today, tomorrow, and the future when none of us are still on this board. But the city is still here, and we need to still be moving forward, progressing, and hopefully getting better as we go along. So that was the only thing I had about the city administrator. The other thing I just want to mention real briefly, discussion of golf carts on city streets. I don't know if it's just me, but I see a lot more golf carts, or more frequently golf carts around the city. I don't know why that is, but I see it quite frequently. Most of the time I don't bother calling, or I may just send a message or something to someone saying, you know, there's one parked over here, they're downtown or something, just kind of giving a heads up. You know, maybe they can get talked to, warned, or whatever. Obviously, we don't have a golf golf cart ordinance in town. It's been talked about previously, never went anywhere, probably because it involved golf carts and also side-by-sides and everything else. And it kind of died. And I was fine with that, and I'm still fine with it, because I'm not sure if it could be done safely and regulated safely. And that would be my biggest concern. Chief, not to put you on the spot, but have you guys had a lot of contacts with golf carts or four-wheelers or anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of, and I know you and I briefly discussed, and I
Yep.
sent you that information, and just, there are exceptions still for some of those vehicles, as you and I had sent you that information, that some of them legally can be plated through the Secretary of State.
Yep,
So
that's
there
true.
there are exceptions to the exceptions too.
And I guess my question, or what I want to follow up with that, is the only exception would be the low-speed vehicles. And those are the ones that could possibly be licensed through the state of Illinois. And then we're kind of left in the dark as far as a city, municipality, because the state registers them. What my concern would be is whether or not, when the state registers them, do they really follow through and make sure that they've got, the turn signals, the headlights, the taillights, all of the things that they're supposed to have, the seat belts, the windshield, et cetera, et cetera. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure, other than me looking into it, and with the help of you sending me some information too, looking into it further and finding out that information, I'm not sure if somebody working the street every day would know what the difference would be. And obviously, yes, if it had a registration plate, but again, I can see somebody driving around a truck in town and they've got a passenger car plate on it. It's illegal, but the state, for whatever reason, wasn't paying attention and they issued it. So it's still illegal, but I guess you wouldn't know until you checked it out or you saw it or something like that, so.
Potentially, and as you and I talked about, this has been not only the golf carts, but the electric scooters, the electric bikes, those are all a hot commodity, and the laws are always changing on them. Like, the information I sent you was information that we received in July as a training thing, and then recently too, we've actually did a post that we shared pertaining to the electric vehicles, because they classify them as different types too, which also then puts age restrictions on stuff. So it's a new concept, and as you're right, sometimes we're not going to know something until we actually physically make a stop of a vehicle on those type of things. And if we do see that stuff, there are probably conversations being had. But I know the one that we talked to, that one looked like it was legally registered, and until it commits a traffic violation of some sort, it doesn't allow us to do a whole lot with it.
No, and like I said, I was unaware that even existed, and I was very surprised when I looked back through the information, and the low-speed vehicles have actually been able to be registered since 2010. So, I mean, it's been going on for 15 years. I had no clue. Just, like I said, there's a lot of information out there, and
it's changing constantly.
that's the first one I saw, but if we wanted to prevent that, and this is the other thing I wanted to bring up, we're obviously not a golf cart community, so even if somebody did get registered through the state of Illinois, whether they got registered, I don't want to say legally, but I should say correctly, whether or not they were actually inspected or anything else, maybe they don't have a windshield, maybe they don't have turn signals, maybe they don't have whatever is required, the seatbelts, whatever, and it's not safe, or they do have all that stuff, but they're still driving around without the seatbelts on. They still have to follow the same traffic laws, and there's other things that pertain to it as far as what streets they can be on, because it can only be a street that's 30 miles per hour, et cetera. But what communities can do, and we don't have to do an ordinance, we could do it by a resolution, but we could prohibit low-speed vehicles in town, and it would be a way of preventing it. So, and obviously, that's just one opinion, one option, but something, again, to think about, food for thought, and maybe we'll talk about it again in a couple of weeks, or Has anybody else noticed golf carts around town, or?
I have. I've got pictures.
Okay.
But I saw them also with the kids, I told you.
Sure.
That, you know, kids were on them and there's no seatbelts and just sitting on mom's lap driving. And I'm
For
like,
some reason,
"What?"
I see it all the time at Arts Supermarket, or I see it at the post office. I don't know why that is, but I never see them at a gas station. I never see them parked uptown or anything. It just, you know, in the side streets, things like that. And I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong. I'm
No.
just saying, strange to see it on the street. So
Just safety for everybody involved.
that's all I had though, Mayor.
Would you like us to look into a low-speed ordinance or something? As I find the e-bikes hard to figure out because that has a speed limit and pedal capacity, which I
And it,
find is very
and for
difficult.
some of them, it's even the size of the engines and stuff. And I'm going back years too, and it just, it's always changing.
Yep, and there's certain, for the e-bikes, it's also age restricted too. I mean, there's, more than likely, there are some kids within the community that are riding an e-bike that technically by law, they shouldn't be riding.
And I should note that with the low-speed vehicles, you have to have a valid driver's license. So people couldn't drive that if they were suspended or revoked or didn't have a license, et
Can we-
cetera.
Can we move this to chief to do a little more research for us and come back? with
Yeah, that's fine.
some
I'd be more than happy to share more information too.
I
Like
think
said,
we,
you have more
I don't know,
access.
everybody else, I think we agree, so well, let's let them take a look at it and see. if we can-
And there's no hurry in anything. Again, it was just for discussion with everybody. So, thank you.
Great. Okay, announcements. I think we have most of those on the next agenda. Audience comments. Anyone wish to speak in the audience? All right, is there a motion to adjourn? The committee of the whole meeting?
Yes.
Alderman Robinson, Alderwoman Erickson, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, quick recess. We'll come back for our regular meeting.